If you made up the rules of the game, you'd know how it was played. But when somebody tells you you've got cancer, you go to pieces. You can't. We've not been educated to deal with it. It's all in the hands of the medics. And that's the route that most people choose. It's the route that I chose. Family pressures, the voice of authority of the medics. Everybody's telling you, oh, the education that you've had at school, telling you how great the advances in medicine are. You read about the wonderful advances in cancer treatment. You read about them nearly every week in the newspapers. So I went the chemo route. It was where it was discovered, had a very close affinity to the spinal cord, this cancer, NonHodgkins lymphoma. So the thinking was, because of this fact, it's best to inject into the spine in case some of these little bleeders went across the blood-brain barrier and caused spinal cancer and brain cancer. So I lay there on the couch, and he showed me this syringe with a double chamber. One chamber was to withdraw fluid from the spine. The second chamber was to inject the same amount back into the spinal fluid, because they have to maintain the proper pressure, otherwise give you headaches, that kind of thing. And it was the following day when I went for the intravenous. It's when I discovered I had a hearing problem. I put it down to the stuff that they poured into my spine. So everybody sounded like Daleks. It's really peculiar hearing affectation. It was the higher frequencies were all there, but the lower frequencies were missing. So and then when I went home after the 4-hour session, sitting in the couch, very comfortable couches, sitting in the couch, I went home and picked up the guitar. It sounded like a biscuit tin. It was dreadful, and I'd be playing at my daughter's wedding that night. Sorry, at the end of the month. So I needed to have my hearing right, and so that's when I really focused. I started looking at YouTube, found all sorts of wonderful pointers. Patrick Vickers, the Ghost Therapy, Chris Walk, Nicholas Gonzalez, and many others, and Catherine Alexander. Her book has been wonderful. Nutritional healing. So it's then I decided no more chemo. And then 3 weeks later, I went to see the oncologist again. I said, "No, I'm not having any more. It's affecting my hearing." He said, "Oh dear, John, that shouldn't have happened." I said, "I know, because the Macmillan nurse deliberately didn't tick that box saying hearing would be affected before I signed the sheet saying I accept this treatment, because you actually have to give them authority to carry out what they're going to do on your body. So you've got no comeback. You've given them permission." So he said, "That shouldn't have happened. We'll send you to see an oncologist." I said, "It doesn't matter. I won't be having any more treatment." He said, "John, think of your family." I said, "What about me? What about me?" He said, the Macmillan nurse said, she couldn't believe it. She said, "John, we're not offering you a palliative here, we're offering you a cure." Well, my hearing's gone now. what's next on the list. There was a long list of the so-called side effects, because this stuff poisons the whole body. Poisons the whole body. I said, I'm not having any more. And then the oncologist said, well, we'll leave the vincristine out. This is the stuff they put into my spine. And we'll make another concoction. Well, concoction, that wasn't the word he used. No, I'm not having any more. He said, well, John, but do what you like, and if it fails, come back here. I'm sure we can sort something out for you. I kept on good terms with him all the way through. It's important to always shook his hand. And so then I was on 10 weeks of juicing. I started juicing, and the juicer I bought was very cheap, difficult to clean. If I started again, I probably would get a decent juicer, but you can get them. And plenty of turmeric and black pepper. So I started using a NutriBullet. ABC, apple, beetroot and carrot in apple juice. It was one of the favourite ones. Always with turmeric and black pepper, because it's a great anti-inflammatory. All disease begins with inflammation. All disease begins with inflammation, including cancer. When you don't stop the inflammation, that's when it gradually gets more and more serious, and then you've got problems. 10 weeks later, and I had another scan, and a week after that the oncologist called me and said, John, the scan showed all clear. Oh, great, I said. He said, yes, get this, he said the chemo must have cured it. This is one session out of a planned 7. I nearly gave him what for, but I decided to call my wife up instead, and called Rosie up, so that she could hear the news herself, and she was jubilant about it, because all that time she'd been fearful that John is taking the wrong route, he's taking the wrong route. So everything turned out well. Incidentally, I had a phone call from a lovely lady who went through the same treatment for non-Hodgkins. It's called R-CHOP therapy, R-C-H-O-P. They're the first 4 letters of each of the chemicals they use. She went through 2 whole courses of it, and she lost her hearing. I said, I lost my hearing. She said, and they said that wasn't supposed to happen. She said, I know, I lost my hearing as well. So she went through 2 whole courses and then decided to go on the cannabis oil. She cured herself. I don't know what happened in the meantime, but she ended up with a problem with her blood, and went back to an oncologist who said, you've got blood cancer, and he was honest enough to say, in all probability, it was brought about by the chemotherapy. So, what are you going to choose? Which way are you going to go? When you think about the dire results of chemotherapy, some say it's less than 5% success rate. That's success if you live for 5 years. On an oncologist's website, they say 3%. No wonder we're all filled with fear of it, because the chances are that the chemotherapy kills you quicker than the cancer would have done. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best of health.